in Munich.
Okay, yeah, hello. So we have our third patient here, and Dr. Georgiev will introduce it to the clinical problem, please.
So this
you can
is
see the PowerPoint slides, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is our third patient. He also has a coarctation like the last one. Can we see the second one, please?
Second slide.
So the patient is 18 years old, had a coarctation, and he had a resection of the coarctation as a small child, and then received one balloon angioplasty, and after that we implanted a stent. It was a Max LD stent, 26 millimeters, which we implanted there. You can see the picture on the left is before implantation of the stent, and the picture on the right is after the implantation of the stent. And now we, next slide please. Now we have the patient here with a gradient of 40 millimeters across the transverse arch. So our plan would be to stent this transverse arch.
Yeah, okay, so we have a look at the pressure measurements. We see a simultaneous pressure measurement in the ascending aorta and in the femoral artery. And you see there is a gradient of about 40, 35 millimeters of mercury under sedation. And now we can switch to the angiographies, the B, please. Yeah, and this is the angiography we did. And you can see that we really try to tackle this indentation between the left carotid artery and the left subclavian artery. The left subclavian artery is only a little bit visible, but in the next picture we don't see the carotid. So the diameters under this sedation is about 15 and something, so let's say almost 16 millimeters. And we want to implant a short 16 millimeter Max LD in this, and with a 16 millimeter balloon. So the stent will, in the end, hopefully, will be as long as diameter is. And we want to place it, hopefully, exactly between these two vessels, the carotid and the subclavian artery. And therefore, we decided to do it under rapid pacing. Mm-hmm. Any questions so far?
Yes, Peter, this is Jackie Kreutzer. Maybe, I wonder if it would be helpful to try to localize the gradient, because it does look like the proximal part of the transverse arch is also a bit hypoplastic relative to the aorta diameter at the level of the diaphragm.
Yeah, that's true. But on the other hand, the major pressure drop is directly in this indentation.
Okay.
And I don't think that we get it completely free of gradient, but I hope that the major gradient will be away then. And yeah, well, we will see. Of course, yeah, I mean, what is the alternative? That you have surgery in deep cardiac arrest?
Or a graft.
I think we should try it with a stent at this moment.
Thanks, God.
But we do not intend to overstent the carotid artery.
Mm-hmm. So I think...
Okay.
So what is your plan?
Our plan is, have a look at this. So we have a long sheath in the ascending aorta, and we have a bib balloon and this 16 millimeter Max LD stent mounted. And I deliberately put it on the proximal end because I would like to avoid that the stent, that the balloon is shifted to the ascending aorta by the rigid stent already in place. It's a little bit far proximally, but I think it will work. Perhaps I can push it a little bit higher up with a long sheath, but at the moment I'm quite fine with this. And we do not intend to use the bib as a bib. We use this only because, well, we have the bib balloon in 16 millimeters, and the shortest 16 millimeter balloon we had is a 3 centimeter balloon, and this is a 3 centimeter long bib balloon. So I go now to release, to push back the long sheath, and still half of the stent is free, like this. And now I think I go a little bit back because the rib, which you see there on the proximal, on the distal part of the stent is a good landmark for the target region. And let's do a hand injection into the long sheath, see how it works. I fill the long sheath, and now we have a short. Okay, so can we take this picture up? So we can go back a little bit, you see?
Yeah, there's a
Yes.
question from the audience.
Thanks, Peter. It's
Yep.
Gareth Morgan. I'm just wondering do you have any concern, or what level of concern do you have about Melanson?
Can you speak a little bit louder, because we have a lot of noise here in the room?
Sorry, Peter. Thanks. It's Gareth Morgan speaking.
Yeah, better.
I'm just wondering if you've any degree of concern about the behaviour of the stent as the bib balloon opens. I mean, how worried are you of potentially milking the stent back proximally? I know you discussed it a little bit, but millimetres here will make a big difference, and I'm wondering whether you're very confident that you're going to stay stable in the centre of the balloon with your stent having moved back a little bit.
So you want me to push the stent a little bit more upward
Well, no, it's
on the balloon?
on the balloon, and I wonder, do you have any techniques for doing that in the position you're in? Would you risk catching the edge of the stent and edging it forward, or is that too risky? I just wanted to see what your thoughts were about that.
I didn't get the question, sorry.
Well, the concern I have is that when you start to open the outer balloon, that the stent will milk more into the descending aorta, and I wonder how
Yeah,
confident
right,
you are
right,
that it'll
right.
stay where it is.
How comfortable you
Yeah,
are
right.
with the asymmetric
you're
mounting.
quite right. I'm not so confident, so therefore I try to push it a little bit more upward, like this perhaps.
Yeah.
Are you more comfortable with this now?
Yeah, I think that's,
Or even not a little bit?
if you got a little bit, but I think that's an interesting
better.
technique that, is interesting to use.
Okay, I give it a little bit more. Wait a second.
I think,
Something like
at
that?
least
Yeah.
many people would
I think we do it that way,
comfortable
okay?
with the
Yeah, it's just-
asymmetric
Okay.
mounting.
Thank you.
Macht er dit?
He's
Okay, so yeah, thanks.
Was macht der
Yeah, I feel better. I feel more comfortable with this as well. But now we have to check once again where the best position is. Can we just take B, please? A out. So. Okay, can still perhaps a little bit back, right?
It is interesting that
Yeah,
almost
yeah.
looks
Not-
better just by tenting it with a wire and the lesion, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It's just.
Okay, I think
bit
it's
of
a
a
good
bend.
landmark to have this rib down there. And
Some tilt.
tendency, I have to put it
But
a
make
little
it
bit more to the rib than to the rib anteriorly. I think we start with inflation. I take the sheath now back completely.
That's why I don't know why he uncovered it early.
I mean,
Go this way.
he wanted to
Just let him breathe a
have it
little more.
asymmetric.
Yeah, I think this is
and I-
quite nice. And now I think we very slowly will just turn the inflator.
Ohne pacing.
Yeah, just without pacing. We start turning the balloon a little bit. Yeah, and you see there's the proximal part, the distal part already inflated.
Yeah, yeah.
You can see this, guys?
It's the
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we see
So
the
I'm-
balloon
I'm
inflation.
confident
inflating the
that-
outer first.
Yeah, so it will not dislodge the stent, okay? I think we now start with rapid pacing and try to inflate to deposit the balloon. Are you ready with the pacemaker? Okay. Go for the pacing, yes.
And
yeah, inflate slowly. Very good. More, yeah. Push. Yeah, well,
Nice.
Okay.
out. Stop pacing. Okay. So let's have a look on the angiogram, how it looks like. It's interesting, the proximal part is larger than the distal part. Hopefully it has enough grip and does not migrate anteriorly. Can I have a little bit more dye? Okay. So I try to take the balloon a little bit back.
That looks good.
I wanted to ask you, what kind of stent did you choose and why?
This is a Max LD 16 millimeter in length. And I think this is a bare metal stent which can get to large diameters and is short. And there are not many short, large stents. Let me see how it looks like.
Okay.
And And the balloon size, the diameter of the
16.
bib was 16. Obviously, the advantage of an open cell design stent is that if it was in a position that wasn't perfect, you can reopen the side branch.
Yeah. But I think when we look
Yeah, well,
at
we
the
have-
angio, it's fine.
It looks
both.
beautiful.
It looks
It's
it looks
perfect.
beautiful, with both
Yeah, I think so too.
vessels open,
Just in
avoided
the
by-
middle, just in the right position.
Yeah,
So
just
I take the balloon out and we will have simultaneous measurements. I pull a little bit on the wire that the balloon gets away from the outer. Let's take the sheath a little bit back as well, so that we can hopefully don't have too much friction. Yeah, that way. Okay. And here we go into the sheath. Yeah, Stanley, you hold the sheath. Okay. So I take the balloon out and we switch on our pigtail catheter. And I'm quite sure that there might be some residual gradient perhaps on the entrance of the first stent we set. And then perhaps we have to consider whether we should redilate it. To be honest, I'm not very fond of redilating it at the moment because I feel that the stent we just placed has not much grip. It's a very soft tissue in which we put it in. And with any manipulations, perhaps we are able to dislodge him. I'm a little bit afraid that we perhaps push him forward over the carotid artery, and I would like to avoid this and perhaps come back later then. So now, hopefully we do not get entangled here with where is the...
So maybe helpful, Peter, to explain when do you use this asymmetric mounting on a stent, and what specifically, what special situation you use that.
Yeah, right. Honestly, this asymmetric crimping is due to the fact that we do not have all the balloons available on the market on stock. And there are sometimes situations where you have, unfortunately, longer balloons than you need, the Blauspülmöbel. And then you can choose whether you crimp the stent on the distal portion or on the proximal portion in order to have enough space for the abundant balloon which you have.
Okay.
But just a second, let's have a look to the pressure now. We have blue ascending order and red descending order. And we still have a gradient of more
we
than
can't
20.
see the pressure tracings.
Can we see the pressure? Yeah, just
Not
a second.
yet.
We turn the camera.
Can you flush again?
The lower one. Okay, so here you see we have still more than 100 in the ascending order and less than, 80 in the other one. So this is obviously not the
Like 25.
best result. I think we go to, I flush the sheath, perhaps there's some leakage here. This might
44.
contribute a little bit to the problem. And perhaps there's a little bit of contrast in the long sheath. Just give me a second that we flush it correctly. And then we see whether we can have a little bit better result there.
Like 20, 22.
Not really.
Yeah.
It's very little
Stays more than 20.
compared
And
to...
I think what I do is I take a end-open catheter and try to get out where this major gradient occurs, whether it's at the proximal part of the arch or perhaps at the entrance of the first stent. Can I get a multi-purpose and a wire?
On the way.
And first of all, we do an angiography, perhaps once again. Or do we have enough? Let me see how the hand injection was. Let me see.
Are there questions or comments from the floor? You're very quiet all together. So,
I mean, that looks good to me.
I wanted to ask,
really astonished at that.
why didn't you think of ballooning the first stent as you were going out? This would have helped in decreasing the gradient and overcoming any residual obstruction in the first stent. As
Yeah,
long
you're
as
right.
the balloon was there, while pulling it out, you could have
Yep.
re-ballooned the first stent.
Right. On the other hand, the balloon is 3 centimeters. I was a little bit afraid of dilating this region, which is probably relatively rigid, that this could have an impact on the stent which we just implanted, that we dislodge it, that we no. So let me first do the pressure measurement.
So why you,
Peter,
Chuck, is standing at the microphone?
Chuck, yeah.
Peter, could you play that angiogram again, or are you going to fluoro now? Because
The hand injection after the deployment.
yeah, the
Which one?
the last one you've done.
This one?
Because the impression I have is that distal end of the stent on the inner curvature, there is a little kink in the vessel, isn't there?
Right.
And whether it's that point where there is a gradient, because even opposite that, at the posterior wall of the aorta, if you look at the movement, that particular spot is not moving. So I suspect that's where the gradient is likely to be, in which case you might have to stent that part in order to abolish this gradient. And you'll still, the way the second stent would sit, you'd still have, wouldn't have covered the origin of the left subclavian.
Yeah, right. But when I look at this angio, I think the narrowest part is now the entrance of the second stent.
Yeah, by your suggestion.
But we will see in a second. I go ahead.
So are you trying to localize the gradient?
Because we have the possibility that perhaps a gradient is now in the proximal unstented arch as well, right? We talked about this at the beginning, whether we can get rid of that. So I take now an end-open multi-purpose catheter over this guide wire. Here we go. I just want to be careful that the edge of the catheter does not push.
Ingo, another question from the floor. Ingo?
Peter, this is Ingo. While you're taking the pressure, I have a question. You put this wire in the ascending aorta. Many people would have put in the wire in the right subclavian artery. What was the reason to leave it in the ascending aorta?
Well, I think we do it both. We are not dogmatic about that, and it worked fine. The wire went there. When I look at the anatomy of the arch, I felt comfortable. The aortic valve gave a lot of support, and therefore I just did it this way. But I'm quite confident that you can do it in the truncus as well, or in another situation, in another place. Yeah.
Hello, Peter. It's Joe Giovanni here. In response to Ingo Deynard's comment, I think if you put the wire in the right subclavian, you get more stability. However, sometimes there is not enough space in the transverse arch for the balloon. So when you inflate it, it will milk down to the descending aorta. So I've learned my lessons because I've had that problem, and I've seen it in live cases. So for transverse arch, I always put the wire, a stiff wire, in the ascending aorta. If I'm unhappy about stability, then I would use fast spacing at the same time. But for transverse, I never use the subclavian because you never know how the balloon is going to work out, and it will milk out into the descending aorta. On the second point, I agree 100% with Shaq Qureshi about putting another stent like a V, which will abolish the gradient and protect the left subclavian. Thank you.
Thank you. There's another comment. Are you able to take another comment?
This is Edmundo from Brazil.
Sure.
I would like to suggest you, if you wanted to localize the exact gradient, you can use the guide catheter, a Y connection, and pull back. You can measure in exactly point at the wire. I have done it. It has happened to me a lot.
Right, there are quite a lot of possibilities to do the pullback.
So now we're going to see the pullback.
Okay, now I think we proceed with the pullback, and then we can discuss perhaps a little bit further. So we now need the camera on the pressure and on the, so we have to turn it. This is a little bit handmade, everything, but it works. So now you can see the pressure, and hopefully Well, if we zoom a little bit on, that we see on the lateral the catheter. This is difficult.
Difficult to see.
Down, you see? We have to see this picture
Now?
down
Yeah.
completely. Yeah. But it's no.
That's
You
a
have
30 millimeter.
The lower one.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Or picture in picture. I don't know what's better. I think that's okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So now we go from the ascending aorta through the proximal part of the arch. This is here, and the pressure does not drop. So at the moment, no, keep it the other way running. So there is, yeah, that's better. So there's no drop at all. Now we go in front of the first stand. Still are at 112. Now we are here. Still 115, nothing at all. 112, so it's stable. Now I cross the stand and go in between the stands. This is here. Let's say here, okay. And it's, well, I think there's almost no gradient. And now we go in the entrance of the first stand, of the first stand, and there's a gradient.
Yeah.
You see that, guys? So it's clearly the upper part of this first stand where the gradient now occurs.
That's just where shock.
Okay.
Well, the shock
Yeah, and that's-
predicted.
That's what I noticed, that there was a kink at the proximal part of the first stent, and that's why I suggested that you could have ballooned it on your way out, at least to
Yeah, right.
But-
I understood, yeah.
But I don't think that the
Okay, I
superior
think
part
we-
of the aorta is covered by stent in that area.
I'm not quite sure that we get it ballooned with a bib balloon. It could be that the pressure is not high enough, given the fact that the stent we just implanted is in its distal portion smaller than in the entrance portion. So there is still some either recoil or not enough radial force.
So Jackie is giving
So-
a very nice suggestion of flaring the first stent.
No, I wasn't. No, I was thinking that that original stent doesn't really circumferentially cover that distal part of the transversal. It's only in the inferior wall, right? It was like flared. So ballooning, since the top part is not stented, probably won't make a difference, I suspect. That you
Okay.
may have to put in
So,
your stent a little more distal
We,
to
we
get
can
rid of
have
that gradient.
the B for the audience, please. Yeah, this please. So, okay.
no
So this is
stent on
our
the top.
situation now. I think we try just to dilate the upper part of the first stent,
At least,
but
yeah.
I tend to take Atlas balloon perhaps, because I think we need more pressure than just that what we needed to implant the other balloon. What do you think? Or should I just give
I
it
It's
think
worth a
that's-
trial. It's worth a trial.
Right.
Are there other
first trying?
suggestions?
Okay,
Peter,
Chuck is standing and
Peter,
Chuck.
if you look at that
Yeah.
movement on the aortogram, it really suggests that there is no movement just close to the distal part of the stent and on the posterior surface. So I can't see how ballooning alone will work. You
Yeah.
probably will have to put another stent and then keep the origin of the left subclavian open. And you can then dilate up with a Atlas balloon afterwards.
okay.
Okay.
Oli-
But
O- Oliver,
don't you think that
has-
this
Yeah, hi, Peter.
has anybody concerns that we dislodge the just implanted stent?
Yes, great
When we-
concern.
when we-
I wouldn't take an Atlas because the Atlas will be really, really straight, and I think you will dislodge the first stent or the one you placed just now with the Atlas.
So Oliver, what would you suggest? What would you suggest?
I would probably vote with Jacques that you should take another stent and cover the two and then work on the subclavian and then blow it up with an Atlas. But if you use the Atlas now, I think you will dislodge the just placed stent.
First one.
Yep.
The first one, yeah. So this is my concern as well. Of course, there is another possibility, and perhaps we take this, we keep it as it is, and we come back in 3 or 6 months, and then everything is stable, and I dilate the stent, and I have no, because what I don't want to do is to put in a further stent which makes everything then straight, And I think it's not bad to have this angle there.
There's another suggestion from the back.
Peter, it's Martin. I would vote for Jacques to put in another stand, but I would also vote for you to wait another couple of months to give the stand a chance to grow in and minimize the problem of dislodgement.
Yes.
Waiting for.
So wait.
Please.
I think on the fluoro, the stand has already moved.
Yeah.
Well, you mean the gap gets larger between the two stands, right?
It looks different from the last angel.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think you should put another stand in to secure the thing.
Well, indeed, it's not a big thing, so we really could do this. Then I probably would go for a long Andra stand, which can connect these both very nicely. And we take a longer 16 bib balloon, and we connect it, and then we open the Flavian artery. Okay, so we prepare this, and you have perhaps another talk or another live case, and when we are with the preparations so far, then we come back to you. Is that okay?
We can see you here.
Okay. Okay. So we have now a long stand here. I'm a little bit afraid that I get it. Perhaps, I think I keep it there. I don't want to mess it up with the other stand. We take the inner balloon. Just a second.
Okay.
What is the stand you have chosen?
I'm ready.
What is the stand you're working with?
Just a second. I speak with you in 2 minutes, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Speichern. Just a second. We just want to line it once more. Okay. Okay, go ahead. Okay, so now.
So now you've
the stand you,
This was
the size and the
this
stand
was a
that you have used.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's a 43 millimeter XXL Andra stand, and I would like to have it a little bit higher up, but I messed it up a little bit with the stand on the balloon, so I'm quite happy that it's now like it is. The only thing we could now think is that we perhaps can take an 18 millimeter balloon, because the alignment in the lower part is not very good. What do you think? Let's first have an angiogram, or should we go for
the alignment of the
balloon?
lower part is not perfect, so you can try with
Right.
another balloon. For
But on the
lower part.
yeah, so we take an 18 millimeter balloon. Let's say Z-Med, 18, 4 centimeter.
Okay. Other ideas here?
Or no, wait. We take an 18 Atlas, 2 centimeter. I take an Atlas balloon because it's 2 centimeter long, and perhaps I can keep the rounding a little bit better. You know, the curve of the stand. When I take a 4 centimeter balloon, then it straighten up everything. I make several dilations with a 2 centimeter balloon, and then we will see. Okay, so yeah. I think we align this stance a little bit more and then do the pressure measurements, okay?
So the bib balloon you mounted that on was 16 or 18?
16, yeah, 16, yeah, right. Yeah. And I'm quite happy that this first stent was easily dilatable. I hadn't thought this. Okay. Now we take the Atlas balloon. Dann noch eine.
Does anybody
So
feel
you forced me
comfortable
to
with this 2
take 2
centimeter
stands.
Atlas balloon?
Pardon?
Does in
What is the question?
I'm asking the audience. Are you?
Okay.
Are you? Do you feel comfortable with this 2 centimeter balloon, as Peter suggested? Yes, I hear yes. I see nodding. So.
Okay. So I start here, right? But I'm really careful because the transverse arch was not so large. I think I just want to mold it in with perhaps 4 or 5 atmospheres, not more.
Mm-hmm.
And then go a little bit down. Okay, so we take 3 atmospheres at the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Yeah.
3.
Yeah. Okay, that's enough. Stop. Take it out. Speichern. Okay. Okay, now we go to the lower part. Let's say here. Okay, please go. Yeah, very good. More. Here you can give a little bit more. Yeah, that's good enough. Stop it. Okay, out.
4.
Please speichern. Okay, now we make a pressure measurement and then we go for the subclavian artery. In the meantime, while I switch the balloon, somebody can measure the subclavian artery, please.
Peter, Thomas here.
Yes.
The proximal end of the stent does not seem to be fully inflated. It does still have a hook against the, an angle against the previously implanted stent of you today. So I guess you need to flare it once more.
I think you have to repeat it. Sorry, I didn't got it. So the proximal part of the
understand still has an angle against the at the inner curvature of the arch has an angle against your other stent. So I guess you may need to flare it again.
So, yeah. Okay. I dilated. I saw it in the. We do this in a second. You're right. I don't know. Next. Okay. Thanks. I don't think that it's so decisive, but I know it's good for the eye because. And we are now here with the balloon, so it shouldn't be a big deal. You mean here, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Inferior wall of the.
Yeah. Okay. So we do it again.
It's not a post.
Okay. Let's go for it. Yeah. Now. Stop it. Stop. Not more. Okay. Very good. Take it out. So it comes back. You see? Does it speichern? Speichern?
Okay.
Okay, let's.
Looks better.
Better.
Okay, we have a short. I think it's okay now, right?
Yeah, it's more opposed.
I think I keep it that way, and we take the balloon out and do a pressure measurement, and then we dilate the subclavian artery with a 6 millimeter power flex, please. Can I have a 6 millimeter power flex, 4 centimeter length? Okay, let's take a pigtail. So we have transmission time till 4. I think this is perhaps just the time we need.
Mm-hmm. So should we come back to you and proceed?
Well, it's up to you. I do the angiography now, and we make the pressure measurements, and then we go to the subclavian artery. Decide by yourself. I mean, you can. I'm happy if you're here, but if you have talks to do or so, then just go for that.
Are you going to be doing the pressures now? Then we could look at that.
Dann Dreierlänge. Also
Yeah, right. We do this. Okay, so bitte mal Spülung auf blau. Flushing blue, please, and then we have blue against red. Red is the descending aorta, blue is the ascending aorta.
So we can.
Okay, let's have a look.
Please show us the
Well,
pressures.
still a gradient.
Please, we can't see the pressure tracings at the moment.
Okay, yeah, please, sorry. We have to twist it. So there's still a gradient and more than 20 millimeters of mercury. So, Jacques, what did I do wrong?
Jacques?
Maybe the wrong was not to accept 20 millimeter of a gradient.
Peter, we need to do the angio because I still see indentation in that inner curvature at the point where the original indentation was.
Okay, we do this.
Okay.
Das gleiche wie vorhin. The same as...
Peter, you could use your sheath to find exactly where the obstruction is, and you can work on that. The other point is, if I were to...
Das gleiche wie vorher.
If I were to go across the subclavian, I would have a cannula in the left radial before I stented, just in case there's any difficulty going to the subclavian from the aorta. But I think an end hole, something, a sheath, the sheath itself is fine, and just do a withdrawal and find out exactly where the gradient is.
Yeah, on the other hand, I don't think that the subclavian is an issue now. It will be open. I think I can go through it in a second, but we will see.
It's good flow.
Okay, Jacques, you mean in the angle of this stance there we should dilate it with 18 millimeters, right?
Yes, correct, and squeeze harder.
Squeeze harder.
You have to squeeze your buttocks as you inflate.
Yeah.
Noch einen.
I had a very weak lunch, you know, but we'll try it now.
The third stent was a cover stent?
No, nothing is covered. They're all bare metal.
So
the distal part of that.
I was so happy with the curve of the stent, and when I now dilate it, the curve will go out probably, but we will see.
So you're going to redilate with the 18, that distal part of the transverse arch, to try to get that to a couple millimeters bigger?
Yeah, well, we try to shape the stent in an ideal fashion. Please flash red.
We get a message that we have 5 minutes to give you.
So here you want to have it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to de-air the balloon once again, and then we go. Okay, ready? I don't know whether this is enough. You think it's enough? Okay, we tried.
If
okay.
It's not, I don't know. Okay.
Here we go. 10.
10.
12. 12. Okay, out. Well, it's not for everybody. Speichern.
So hopefully we can see the pressure.
Okay, so we take the balloon out.
Peter.
What does it look like now?
Peter.
Jacques?
Yep.
What did you do different this time?
Please. I took all the last fourth I had and tried to do the dilation. And I really said to Dr. Georgiev, wow, go. And probably this was the decisive difference.
Okay. So what pressure did you use at the end? Go till what?
What did we have? 10, I think, right?
10.
Pressure?
Okay.
Maximum pressure?
So that's the difference.
12.
12. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so now
so hopefully
try to give me the... Yeah. Okay, we will have the pressures. Now you can twist the screen.
Stop teasing.
We have The red line is the descending aorta, and the blue line will be the ascending aorta.
We can't see the tracings yet. So
please switch to the camera.
Is there a gradient?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Well, we haven't connected yet.
Oh, you have not connected. Okay.
Flashing blue, flashing blue. At least the pressure is higher now. I think perhaps he has a little bit of pain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
We can live with that. So this applause is for Jacques and colleagues who suggested to take the second stent. Okay, so we tackle the subclavian artery and then we are done.
Yeah, and unfortunately we have to close the connection
very
to
nice
you. And it was very nice seeing you abolishing any gradient. And now you will work on the left subclavian artery. And can you shortly say what's your plan?
I take a multi-purpose catheter and 6 millimeter power flex.
And may I ask the audience how many would work on the subclavian now versus leave it, since there was really good flow, and maybe measure arm blood pressure and see whether it's even necessary?
Yeah, but
who would do the subclavian in this same procedure?
Peter, do you have a conquest balloon or something like
And
that, a
who
woven
would wait
balloon?
and do it later on once the stents are healed, or wouldn't even?
Ich brauche den Powerflex.
So I guess
We can't see it very clearly.
No.
Hier haben wir mit 2 oder Mustang.
6 mit 2 ist gut. Yeah, well, I think, you can do it later as well. It's good, but I prefer to have the struts away when I can do it, because, you know, there are reports when you do it afterwards that there might be some debris or some intimal ingrowth, and when you then dilate it, that these can cause, for example, thromboembolism in the vertebral artery or so. I feel quite comfortable to just dilate it now.
So, yeah, we thank you a lot for this procedure. We unfortunately have to close, and we let you working on the left subclavian. Thank you again, Munich.